action, excitement, and the only professional team in town? Don't miss out on the next Wilmington Hammerheads match. Show your support at their next game. Get your season tickets or single game tickets now at WilmingtonHammerheads.com.
I'm Troy Cole. I'm from Laguna Hills, California. Youth soccer took me to college soccer, which took me to the professional ranks. And then later on, I landed in Wilmington. The community in Wilmington, it couldn't be any more welcoming. The satisfaction of being a professional is people recognizing you at these places and us recognizing them because they are the reason that we get to do what we love.
We represent the city when we're on the road, and we represent the city when we're at home as well. So it's important that we're putting our best foot forward and we give the city an avenue to express and showcase themselves on a national level. The experience of a Wilmington Hammerhead game is extremely important to me. We need to ensure that families of all ages come out and have a good time.
One of the things that we're really proud about is, when we look at our roster right now, or we look at our first 11, we're talking about guys that hopefully are going to have long careers in the highest leagues, whether it's here with us in Wilmington, whether it's in the MLS, or whether it's in Europe and beyond.
Our newest initiative is partnering with the largest youth club in the area. They've now taken on our crest. It brings our vision together, following a very similar path to many European clubs, whereas you have players who can start at the youngest age and work their way up and develop while having a model to look at and something to aspire to become. We want to be role models not only to the kids that look up to our players, but we want the cities to look at us and say, wow, Wilmington Hammerheads contribute a lot to our town. We want to walk away at the end of the day and say we've done everything we can to give back to our community.
The fans, they remember you, they see you on the streets, they say hello to you. How special is that?
Live from Legion Stadium, this is 2015 USL Pro Soccer. And good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Katz alongside Jackson Fuller, bringing you today's broadcast between your Wilmington Hammerheads and the Rochester Rhinos. Jackson, Wilmington coming off two road losses this past week, and they it doesn't get much easier tonight when they go up against the Rochester Rhino team atop the table in the Eastern Conference, 6-2 on the year. Now, the Hammerheads have struggled, but what a night to come up with a result against one of the top teams in the league.
Yeah, definitely, maybe not the team you want to face after two straight losses, but there might not be a better way to bounce back after those two losses than to come have a home game in front of your crowd and put up a quality result against Rochester tonight. we'll see if the Hammerheads can bounce back 1-5-2 on the year, but this could be a start to build something if you get a quality result against a good opponent.
Well, one of those things that we kind of talked about all season was the lack of goal scoring for the Hammerheads, and they were shut out both games on the road against St. Louis FC and Louisville City FC. But with that said, I think the week of training, they've really worked on putting that ball in the back of the net, and hopefully they're able to come up with a couple of goals today to secure a result.
Definitely, and I think Coach Porter also wants to see the defense kind of improve, not make the same mistakes they made on the road, shore up that back line, and hopefully that can lead to some better offensive attack tonight.
Well, like you mentioned, kind of 1-5-2 right now on a little bit of a slide. Going to be a great crowd at Legion Stadium, great weather out here. The sprinklers are on the artificial turf to soak it down. Maybe just some thoughts on what are the keys for Wilmington tonight in order to come away with that victory.
It's going to be about creating chances. I mean, you mentioned Rochester; they're very good defensively. If Wilmington can create the chances consistently throughout the game, hopefully they're going to find one in the back of the net. And then also, while they're going to be aggressive on offense, they have to play that solid defense and not make mistakes out of the back.
Again, I'm Joe Katz alongside Jackson Fuller. We'll take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to our starting lineups, tonight's national anthem, an opening kick between your Wilmington Hammerheads and the Rochester Rhinos. And welcome back, everyone, to Legion Stadium exclusively here on the Wilmington Hammerhead FC YouTube channel. We are getting ready for tonight's opening kick between your Wilmington Hammerheads and the Rochester Rhinos. Getting to our starting lineups first for the visitors. Top team in the table for the Eastern Conference. We'll start with their goalkeeper, number 33, Brandon Miller. On the back line for Rochester this evening will be Anoa Abasi, number 7, number 15, Pat McMahon, number 18, Grant Van de Castile, and number 22, Julian Ringoff. In the midfield, Mike Garzi, number 13, and number 29, Taylor Ruddy. The forwards today for the Rhinos, number 8, Christian Valesky, and number 9, Colin Rolfe. We'll pause quickly for the singing of our national anthem, and then we'll get to the starting lineup for your Wilmington Hammerheads. The Hammerheads coming into tonight's contest, 1-5-2 this season. Following a 2-game road trip, 2 setbacks to Louisville City FC and St. Louis FC, going up against the top team in the standings right now in Rochester. We'll pause quickly here on YouTube. I'm Joe Katz alongside Jackson Fuller, gearing up for tonight's opening kick. And a beautiful rendition of our nation's anthem, thanks to some of our middle schoolers out of Roland Grace Middle School here in Wilmington, North Carolina. As we get ready for tonight's opening kick, our starters for the Wilmington Hammerheads in goal this evening will be number 0, Andre Rawls. On the back line for the Hammers today, number 3, Anthony Peters, number 4, Ashani Faircloth, number 5, Troy Cole, and number 12, Andre Campbell. Scouring the midfield for Wilmington this evening will be number 6, Brian Ackley, number 7, Ross Tomaselli, number 8, Paul Nicholson, number 21, Will Haney, and the latest addition to the Wilmington Heads, number 29, Christian Bassagog. Again, I'm Joe Katz alongside Jackson Fuller, bringing you this evening's broadcast as the Wilmington Hammerheads look for a big result tonight, a tall task at hand as they go up against a Rochester team sitting at 6-0-2, and not only at 6-0-2, but they have surrendered just 3 scores this year.
Yeah, Joe, this is going to be a very important game for Wilmington after the 2-game slide on the road. They get to come back home, play in front of their home fans, and they would love nothing more than to get a result out of this game. You always want to go for the win, but I think they need to find a result tonight to try and get the tides turning and get them going in their favor as we head down, get to the middle part of this season.
Yeah, for Wilmington, obviously, they'll be moving left to right to start this afternoon's contest in their traditional blue jerseys, while Rochester wears their green and gold, moving right to left on your viewing monitor. This is 2015 USL Pro Soccer exclusively on the Wilmington Hammerhead FC YouTube channel. For the Hammerheads, coming off a 2-game road trip, as we've mentioned during the pregame, mentioned just a moment ago, were held scoreless during that brief road trip, and that has been a struggle for the Hammerheads as of late, being able to put the ball in the back of the net. We'll see how that all pans out here over the next 90 minutes live at Legion Stadium in Wilmington, North Carolina. Beautiful afternoon for soccer here on the pitch at Legion Stadium, right in the heart of Wilmington, North Carolina, and right in the southeast corner of the Tar Heel State. Game time temperature, 76 degrees. Couple of clouds in the sky, but for the most part, been a beautiful day here along the coast of the Tar Heel State. And we're just about underway as Wilmington will take possession here over the opening kick. A Rochester team coming in hot right now, 6-0-2. And we are underway here at Legion Stadium. It's Wilmington Hammerheads FC and the Rochester Rhinos. Caught up with Tom Parrott, and we'll get to his interview during our halftime break. And he was, impressed with the week of training for Wilmington and their ability so far, or their lack of scoring attempts, but they worked diligently this week at trying to, change the just the way things have been going for them as of late.
That's going to be the key to this game. I mean, Rochester, as you mentioned, Joe, they've only given up 2 goals all year. It's going to be important for Wilmington to create some opportunities and not sit back on their heels all game and try and force the game to Rochester and take it to them early on.
Well, it'll be Rochester with an early attempt off the header from number 8, Christian Voleski. Andre Rawls in goal for the Wilmington Hammerheads. Once again, the 6'2" goalkeeper. Spent some time with the big club, New York City FC, the Wilmington Hammerheads, of course, an official MLS affiliate of NYC FC. Well, we've seen a couple of players moving up and down, and that's kind of one of those things here at this level of the USL Pro League where for the Hammerheads, they don't have the luxury of being able to play in the big league, so they're going to have different moving pieces throughout the course of a season, guys moving up and down, and I think that has a lot to do with the camaraderie of a team and how they gel throughout the course of a year, and so far just hasn't panned out the way they have hoped at 1-5-2.
Yeah, it hasn't clicked so far, but that's okay. It's a part of the USL League. They know it comes with the territory that there's going to be some pieces moving in and out of the squad, and they just have to adjust with it. I think, like we said, this is a huge opportunity at home with with Rawls here with the team tonight. It's an opportunity to try and bounce back and make up for some of those losses they've had earlier in the year.
The Hammerheads will have a goal kick as the first few minutes of action have been towards the Hammerhead side of the pitch as Wilmington looks to maybe gain a little possession here over the next few minutes and settle down.
Well, yeah, last goal kick, Rawls, he played it to a defender right in front of him, and now he's going to launch it. I mean, Coach Porter's talked about wanting to play the ball out of the back often this season, but right now against a team that doesn't allow many goals, you want to try and force the pressure on them.
And a quick whistle here and a warning issued to number 20, Tony Walls, I believe. So it will be a Hammerheads free kick. Looks like Brian Ackley was in the mix there off the 50-50 ball. And now it'll be Will Heaney with the attempt here. So first chance here for Wilmington to put one inside the 18-yard box, and it will be Will Heaney off the free kick for the Hammerheads.
A lot of guys already in the box for Wilmington. When you get a free kick in this position, you definitely want to, push it to the opposing team.
The left foot to the far post finds the head of Troy Cole. Anthony Peters in the mix as well, but cleared away nicely by the Rochester back line. And you can see a couple of lineup adjustments for Wilmington since their last home match, at least. Anthony Peters on the start this afternoon. You can see that big frame from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Wilmington defender at 6'6". And now it's Ross Tomaselli, Wake Forest graduate, plays it to Troy Cole, a little too far off the foot of Brian Ackley, and it will be a goal kick for Rochester. The Rhinos seem content right now to just get everybody a touch to start things off, as playing with a lot of confidence right now. And if you know the game of soccer, Rochester, of course, yet to see a defeat this year. Obasi will play it back to Julian Ringhoff.
Yeah, they definitely seem content on just moving the ball around in their half, trying to wait for the opening to come to them. And Wilmington's going to have to, there's going to be parts of the game where the Hammerheads are going to have to, allow that to happen and just play solid defense, knowing that when they do get their feet on the ball and gain possession, they have to take advantage of those opportunities. But there's going to be moments in the game where Rochester, obviously as a club on top of the table right now, is going to dominate parts of it, and you've got to just adjust and wait for your time to get possession back and then make an impact when you do get the ball.
Peters will play a ball. Looks like it's Justin Moose in the mix for Wilmington, and an easy foul called by head referee Doug Hartman. Tonight's officials: Doug Hartman, Scott Bowers, Paul Friend, and Russell Davis. 5 minutes into tonight's match, no score between your Wilmington Hammerheads and the Rochester Rhinos. Andre Campbell with a nifty move there, plays it back safely to Peters, who sends the left foot. Looks like it will be out of play, and a Rochester throw. And that's one guy to keep an eye on for Wilmington, number 29, Christian Basagog. The Cameroonian brings blazing speed to the pitch, and we'll see a ton of balls his way this evening.
Yeah, already I think they've tried 2 or 3 long balls to Basagog up top, and although they haven't been successful, it's letting the defense know that that's going to be a point of your attack, and they're going to have to respect the long ball and not cheat so far up the field.
Paul Nicholson, a staple for Wilmington over the last number of seasons, plays to Troy Cole. Cole to Tomaselli. Tomaselli's touch deflected off a Rochester defender. And another quick foul called. So Wilmington getting the benefit of some of these iffy calls right now.
Yeah, that one definitely looked like a foul, though. I mean, I think that's Valesky there. Came in a little bit too late on a high kick, knocking down Troy Cole in the midfield, and, excuse me, Ryan Ackley in the midfield. And that's a foul that you'll take as Wilmington, because now once again you're set up with a free kick inside Rochester's own half, and you can try and deliver a quality ball, and hopefully someone can get a header on it.
It'll be Heaney again with the left foot, looking for Troy Cole, just a little too far over his head as the ball sails high over Brian Ackley, and we'll do it again. But you've got to be pleased so far with Wilmington's response after Rochester kind of came out. We're trying to set the tempo. Wilmington here has responded over the last few minutes. We'll see if they're able to keep that pace up here.
Out of bounds, a little too far left, but that's definitely been a plan of attack early on. 8 minutes in, we've consistently seen that from them, and hopefully down the road they'll be able to execute one of those long balls.
Pat McMahon on the throw-in for Rochester, and once again you see that big 6'6" frame from Anthony Peters jump right over the Rochester player to get a touch on the ball with his head. Troy Cole now will play, but the foul called. Number 10, Justin Moose, came in a little too aggressive there towards midfield, and it will be a free kick granted to Rochester.
And you kind of knew coming in this had the potential to be a little bit of a sloppy game with the way Rochester doesn't give up goals. Wilmington, the Hammerheads, although they've kind of struggled playing out of the back and avoiding mistakes, they're pretty solid defensively. Rawls is a good keeper, so early on it's been a little sloppy, but both teams probably going to settle in here as we head into the middle stages of the first half.
Obasi for Rochester, played closely by Ross Tomaselli. King Ringhoff will bring it back for Rochester, play towards the midfield as the Rhinos keep possession. Peters tries to clear it away. Awkward bounce as Colin Rolfe able to fight with Peters there, and they win the corner kick, so it will be a corner kick for Rochester, the first of the night for either club, and it looks like it'll be number 11, Johnny Mendoza, who gets the free kick.
Right footer coming in, trying to have an in-swinger. We'll see the early strategy, though, from Rochester, where they're going with their corner kicks.
Mendoza goes to the near post, guarded by Wilmington and cleared away. A lot of contact inside the penalty box there. Referee Doug Hartman let them play for so far. He's been quick to the whistle on some of the fouls towards the midfield, but allowed them to kind of scrap it out inside that 18-yard box.
It almost looked like Van de Castile tried to stomach that one back across kick.
Mendoza goes to the near post
to get a head on a little bit low,
guarded
tried to
by Wilmington and cleared away.
But unfortunately, it just kind of whirled out of bounds for him, and now a free kick for the Hammers.
Have you visited the new USLsoccer.com? Get the latest news and live stats, and check out the new social media hub at USLsoccer.com. It'll be Moose with the soft touch to Tomaselli. Back to Brian Ackley as he reverses course to Andre Campbell. Off the first touch, and able to come up with the handle on the pass from Ackley. It will be a Wilmington Hammerheads throw-in.
Nice job there of switching the fields. Unfortunately, not a great touch from Campbell, but you just keep switching the fields, keep trying to get the Rochester players moving side to side, and you might be able to create a hole when you do eventually get into a favorable spot.
Basagog back over to Will Heaney. Heaney to Justin Moose. Stolen away, however, as the ball is played over to Anoa Obasi. And Obasi takes it back to the back line to Julian Ringhoff. Of course, the newly realigned USL Pro Soccer League this season, now an official partner with Major League Soccer. You can grab all the latest stats information at USLsoccer.com. Check out their new social media hub. This portion of the match is sponsored by USLsoccer.com.
Joe, you mentioned that the referee early on calling a lot of fouls in the midfield, especially when the players are airborne. I mean, he's not letting anything fly when there's a couple players going for a header in the air. He's right. Any sign of contact, he's blowing the whistle and calling the play dead.
As you kind of allotted to so far, kind of a sloppy first 10 minutes of the match. You can see both clubs very bunched up here in the middle of the field. I'm sure both coaches right now would love to see a little bit better spacing between teammates, and as it will be played back, dangerous ball.
Very dangerous. Keeper can't use his hands right now. That's got a tough ball for a keeper to deal with from the defender. Obasi, though, was confident with Miller, and he chested down and made a nice play.
Troy Cole with the left foot finds Basagog. Played on softly from Tony Walls, and back to the goalkeeper, Brandon Miller. Miller, a Charlotte, North Carolina native. Charlotte, just about 3.5, 4 hours in the car down Highway 7476 west, of course. We are at the beach. They are land driven there.
In the city over there in Charlotte.
Couple of nice lakes out there, I guess. Lake Norman out there. Beautiful spot to go hang out at.
They've got some good soccer. I mean, just as well in Charlotte. You talk about some of the state champions over the recent years, and the North Carolina, they usually come from Charlotte, either Charlotte or Raleigh for sure.
Paul Nicholson will play to Andre Campbell with some space as he crosses midfield. The touch to Will Heaney deflected back as Rochester will play to Brandon Miller.
Yeah, that was kind of a miscommunication. It looked like Campbell kind of wanted Heaney to go a little bit further down, but Heaney kind of stayed in the middle, and Campbell didn't really know what to do with it at the last second. Try to feed Heaney in the middle, but deflected away.
Little tough luck for Wilmington here. Off the kick from Miller, found the head of a Hammerhead player, and Faircloth wasn't able to get all of his attempt there at clearing it, and it will turn into a Rochester corner kick. This time from the far side of the field. Looks like it will be Johnny Mendoza once again with the free kick.
6 of the 16 goals the Hammers have given up have been from corners, so this is definitely a dangerous spot for them.
Back to the near post. This time turned away, but we'll do it again as we approach the 15th minute of the match. 0-0 between Wilmington and Rochester. Mendoza will go to the far post this time, and Peters is there to clear it away. And we will now reverse field as the Rhinos continue to apply pressure here in the 15th minute.
Mendoza going to go from one corner to the other. He's clearly the guy they want taking every single corner, whether it's, an in-swinger or an out-swinger from the right-hand side of the field, but he's going to line this one up again.
And the kick from Mendoza this time will go to the far post, finds the head of a player, and a great save by Andre Rawls, able to get a hand on it and tip it over the crossbar. And while it was a great save, you got to think that these opportunities eventually may pay some dividends for Rochester. But at the moment, Andre Rawls with a sprawling save off the corner kick.
Great save too, because he had some traffic there in the goal, and it wasn't just Rochester players. Some Wilmington Hammerheads defenders got in his way a little bit.
Mendoza sends one in, this time punched away by Rawls and cleared outside of the penalty area. Obasi playing on Anthony Peters will send a bending ball in towards the 18-yard line, and Andre Rawls will play safely for Wilmington, so they're able to hold on after a flurry of attempts from Rochester. The kick from Mendoza this time will go to the far post, finds the head of a player, and a great save by Andre Rawls, able to get a hand on it and tip it over the crossbar.
He's been surging down that left
while
side.
It was a great
Hammerheads defender is going to be a player that a little bit. The Hammerheads are going to have to keep an eye on.
Mendoza sends one in, this time punched away by Rawls and cleared outside of the penalty area. Will Heaney will quickly play it ahead. As we head to the 17th minute, Wilmington has weathered a couple of attempts from Rochester. Obviously the big save on the corner kick attempt by Andre Rawls to keep this match scoreless. But Wilmington will need to find their legs here in the next few minutes and mount an attack of their own as Troy Cole plays on the near sideline to Brian Ackley. Ackley with his head up to Anthony Peters. And it'll be Ackley to Paul Nicholson. And finally, a couple of strings of passes together. And that's what you would like to see for Wilmington here. Kind of control the possession.
That's definitely what Coach Porter wants to see. He wants to see those short passes between defenders and midfielders completed, because the more short passes that you complete, the more time of possession that you can have in that midfield area, the more threatening you can be later on in the game. It's going to cause some problems as the game wears on, and right now Wilmington's doing a great job of possessing the ball and keeping it out of Rochester's feet.
Become a fan of the USL on Facebook for exclusive league news and interactive content. Visit friend the USL League on Facebook. Scoreless contest here. 18 minutes in. Rochester has definitely held the better half of the chances today thus far. Wilmington has yet to mount much offense, but they've held strong in the back as they push ahead. Will Heaney, as Basagog just took off there, and you could see that obviously they're trying to get him on that far sideline.
Yeah, there's been a couple of times where the Hammerheads players will kind of take off down the field, but Rochester, we talked about it. They are known for their defense, and they're right on the Hammerheads players applying that pressure and not allowing the passer, the man with the ball at his feet, to make the right pass to the sprinting Basagog down the field.
And I think that just goes to a communication thing. Obviously, probably a language barrier there between Basagog and some of the other players. And, while the back line trying to string a couple of passes together, then you have Basagog just shooting down the far sideline and just a little too far there for Andre Campbell. And it'll be a quick throw-in as Rochester looks to regain control here. Far ball. Oh, sliding tough play there. It'll be Tyler Rudy over. And Troy Cole once again. This time, nope, Tomaselli there with the left foot. And you can see the surface definitely a little slick out there this evening. And that's one of those things where many of the USL Pro teams play on natural grass. A little different here in Wilmington with the synthetic turf.
Yeah, but the Hammerheads, it's going to affect anyone, I guess, but they're probably used to it at this point. But Rochester missed a big opportunity there with when a slipped Hammerhead opened up a huge lane down the middle, but they weren't able to capitalize.
As Miller will send a softball to Obasi, Tomaselli takes one off the mug. And it will be a Wilmington throw-in right here at midfield. Troy Cole, the Southern Californian, has now officially come to Wilmington and has served as this has been his hometown now over the last couple of seasons. Really does enjoy this area and the work he does with the youth soccer program under the Wilmington Hammerhead FC umbrella. Troy Cole, a great spokesperson for this organization, and continues to work to earn some playing time on the back line for Coach Porter and the Hammerheads.
Back lines worked pretty well together so far between Peters and Faircloth and Cole. I mean, a lot of the action has kind of been on this the closer side of the pitch to us here in the booth, and they've done a pretty good job with the Rhinos attack. I mean, Rochester's best chances have come from corner kicks thus far, I would say.
Andre Campbell battling for possession. Won it for a moment, quickly the other way for Rochester. As Mendoza looks to take on Troy Cole. It's Mendoza with a nifty move. Cole on him like glue. Obasi. Now down to the far side, the left foot. Kind of a scramble in the middle of the penalty area. And now it's Will Heaney.
Wow.
After a man goes down, no call. Play continues. Heaney over to Christian Basagog. One touch, two touches with the left foot. And it sails wide off the play clock for the football team here, which houses the New Hanover High School during the football season, the American football season.
Yeah.
Let me clarify that.
Tough play for Basagog there. I mean, he had an opportunity, but coming onto his left foot, really nobody coming up with him in attack. I mean, that's one of those things where, yeah, have a shot with no one else up there in attack, but it sailed well wide. You'd like to see that counterattack maybe build up a little bit more on the ground before we loft a long ball to Basagog and try and get some people out, some Hammerheads out there and support, help him on the front line.
Follow the USL Pro Soccer League on Twitter to become a league insider, join club conversations, and have a chance at exclusive giveaways at USL. Also follow the Wilmington Hammerheads on Twitter at WILM Hammerheads.
almost 25 minutes in, Joe. I think, Coach Porter's got to be pleased that the score is 0-0. Maybe not thrilled with how the team's playing. It's kind of been a sloppy game, but regardless, when you're going against the top club in the standings right now, you have to be pleased 0-0 right now at this point, and you're just keeping yourself in the game for an opportunity that may come down the road.
With the way they have kind of set up their attack, seems like, yes, they want to get that ball to Basagog, but as you kind of alluded to a few moments ago, the fact that he's kind of all alone up top, and with a Rochester team that has surrendered just 3 scores all season, you're going to need to bring some numbers down to this side of the field to get one by the goalkeeper, Brandon Miller. And it seems like the Hammerheads still trying to figure that out as of right now.
Definitely, and we don't know what maybe Coach Porter's tactics were, but it's clear that Basagog's up there by himself. I mean, sometimes Tomaselli is coming to help him, but right now he's up there by himself, and he's got to do his work to try and put the team in position to score, even though he is up there alone.
The pass just a little behind Colin Rolfe, but a chance here, deflected away by Anthony Peters.
Great block by Peters. I mean, that was a dangerous shot if he doesn't get a foot on that.
So a great play by the 6'6" defender, getting the start tonight for the Wilmington Hammerheads.
He is up there alone.
The pass just a little behind Colin Rolfe, but a chance here, deflected away here in the booth if I was 6 foot by Anthony Peters. Might be on the field right Peters. Now.
I mean that,
or some other type of playing field, yeah. Right? Andre Campbell sprinting across the midfield. Campbell continues to push forward. Just a little too out of control there. Lost his pace for a moment. And touched out of bounds.
But that's okay. That's a type of play where that play is going to pay off down the road. You keep pushing right at the Rochester defense. Eventually, Campbell, he's a fast guy. He's got a lot of fitness for playing a left back position. That you'd hope that play, keep going at it down the road. It's going to pay off where you're going to be able to zoom past them, a tired Rochester back line in the end.
Tomaselli back to Troy Cole. Cole with his head up finds Brian Ackley. And now it's Cole to Nicholson. But a tough touch there. We'll find the foot of Mendoza and Rochester on the counter.
It just seems like there's more space right now for Rochester to get those passes off. I mean, maybe it's the first touch. Maybe it's their spacing in general. But it just seems like when Wilmington has an opportunity to turn those short passes into something better, the space is closed down while Rochester can have a little bit more free space, more avenues to exploit the Hammerheads' defense.
The Rhinos will have a chance now, and they try to quickly play it forward, but head referee Doug Hartman brings Mendoza back to the spot of the foul. And it is, this time, Obasi who will play with the left foot across the field. To number 15, Pat McMahon will send a ball in. Close touch, and it's deflected. Looks like it caught a Hammerhead defender. This time it was Ashani Faircloth. But yet another corner kick here for Rochester.
Good heads up play by Faircloth. I think he realized he wasn't going to be able to get a head on it. So rather than aimlessly jump up and try and head it away, he immediately turned around, waited for the touch to come off the Rhinos player. And once it did, he reacted to it well and cleared it out of bounds for a corner.
Johnny Mendoza on the corner kick for Rochester. This time will go to the near post. Off the head, deflected off the last defender. Looked like it was number 10, Justin Moose, who got a piece of that. Low strike, deflected again once away. This time it will go out of play, and it will result in a goal kick, as we do have a Hammerheads player down. Ashani Faircloth is down. But for Rochester, this time we'll go to the near post. Off the head, deflected off the last defender. Looked like it was number 10, Justin Moose, who got a piece of that. Low strike, deflected again once away. This time it will go out of play.
Moose was just right there at the right time. The Rhinos definitely deserved a goal there. They had a couple really great opportunities and nicely worked corner kick, but the Hammerheads, solid defense, right man at the right place, I guess, for the stop.
So the match remains scoreless, thanks to a heads-up play by Justin Moose, as Rawls now kind of flags to his defenders, alerts them, says move down the field, and then he quickly plays it to Anthony Peters, over to Andre Campbell. It's Campbell to the middle, Justin Moose, and Paul Nicholson. Nice string of touches here together for the Hammerheads. Tomaselli over to Troy Cole. Playing it back to Brian Ackley. And Nicholson loses control. And Rochester will take over.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough break because Nicholson had some space there to try and make something happen with the ball. A couple times he's been closed down really quickly in the middle of the field, but that time he had some space and just a poor first touch let him down.
Of course, the Port City firm right behind the midfield area on the far sideline under the Capelli Sports sign have long been faithful fans of this organization since the club's inception, and they turn out each and every match and looking for the Hammerheads to find an opportunity here against a tough Rochester club. And Tomaselli will take over to Troy Cole. Couple of nice combo passes there between Tomaselli and Cole. But then it's played back by Obasi for Rochester. And Moose trying to apply the pressure.
You haven't seen that all game. Obviously, it's applying that kind of pressure is tough to do over the course of a 90-minute match. But when the Hammerheads do turn it on, they definitely force Rochester into some sticky spots. But the Rhinos have been able to come out of them pretty cleanly thus far and adjust to when the Hammerheads do turn their pressure on.
Nike is a proud sponsor of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike soccer information.
Ref's been a little bit more lenient with the whistle in the last 15 minutes. It seems like once I mentioned all the aerial balls, he's kind of kept the whistle in his pocket.
Strong play there by defender Julian Ringhoff with the Basagog right on his tail. Was able to get it back to his defense with Basagog pressuring.
Looks like Faircloth's down again.
It looks like we'll have a couple of players starting to get loose for the Hammerheads on that far sideline. With Faircloth trying to shake off whatever seems to be bothering him at the moment.
It looked like he might have used that as an opportunity to try and tell the ref something that's going on in the back line. I mean, he was down, and then once the ref showed up, he kind of got to his feet and had a word with him. And, that's just part of the game of soccer. You got to try and keep talking to the ref and get some of those calls that you might not be getting early on in the game.
Brandon Miller will play it. The first touch to a Rochester Rhino. And then a quick play to keep it going. Stolen off the foot. It's Mendoza. Deflected away by Andre Campbell, but Campbell was kind of beat there in that midfield, which turned into a Rochester opportunity and yet another corner kick.
And these are where the opportunities have come, the most dangerous ones at least for Rochester so far, is off of corner kicks, guys scrambling in the box. Let's see if the Hammerheads can adjust here. Last one was very dangerous. It went near post after a couple that had gone far post. Let's see what Mendoza delivers.
It's Johnny Mendoza to the near post again. Does find the foot of a Rochester Rhino. It looked like it may have been deflected by a Hammerhead player in the box, and it'll be Mendoza once again lining up a corner kick.
Some pushing and shoving going on there.
Lots of contact there, and that will bring Doug Hartman, the head referee, in there to kind of... Looks like it's number 18 for Rochester, Grant Vandy Castile, and a couple of other Hammerhead players in the mix down there. Paul Nicholson seems to be involved, and they go to the middle of the field. They're off the header, turned away again. This time Justin Moose there in the same exact spot. So Moose has just as many saves as Andre Rawls does today.
That's impressive. I mean, he's kind of just there, but still to you have to be on your heels. I mean, on your toes. You have to be aware of what's happening in the situation.
Seems to be
Moose just
involved.
wonderful
They go
job
to
to
the
turn the
middle
ball
of
off
the
the
field.
line
They're off
and
the
prevent
header,
another
turned
goal.
away
It could easily
again.
be
This
2-0
time,
right
Justin
now.
Moose
Rochester,
there in the
but
same
still
exact
scoreless
spot.
game, and once again, Faircloth's down.
So
I don't know
Moose has
what
just as
is
many
going
saves
on. It
as
looks
Andre
like
Rawls does today.
Might be he keeps pointing to his mouth for the injury, but he's going to try and fight this one through again, it looks like.
The shot attempt off the header was from Julian Ringhoff.
Looks like a sub, actually. Excuse me.
And it looks like we will have our first substitute of the match as Faircloth is getting attended to by the training staff for Wilmington. And it looks like we will see Nick Zimmerman possibly. And we'll pause on the action here, a little brief pause as both teams go to the sideline for some hydration. So that will definitely give us a couple of minutes of injury time after the 45 minutes of regulation.
Beautiful night for soccer, though, here in the Port City. I mean, you got...
Yeah, well, I am kind of surprised right now that both teams are being granted this water break. Humidity very low. I know when we will be broadcasting matches here in July and into August that we may be having to take a water break every 10 minutes because the not only 76 degrees right now, no humidity. We're talking 92, 93 degrees with about 85% humidity come July. Rochester, of course, coming from New York State, so they are definitely not accustomed to but tonight, just a beautiful night, so there's no complaining about the weather for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looked like it was a mix of a water break and an injury break, but both teams definitely will take advantage of that.
Yep, Nick Zimmerman does step in. Looks like he has replaced. I'm trying to find, I forgot, I did not see the substitution. Zimmerman on the pitch, however. Faircloth still in. As Peters comes and slides one away. So Zimmerman will take over at the forward position, looking for another attacker, Wilmington. And it looks like, Tomaselli is out there still.
Is it Ackley? Is Ackley out there
Yeah,
still?
it looks like Brian Ackley was the sub, and it's Zimmerman on his first touch. He finds Basagog getting triple teamed right now, and a swarm of Rhinos.
That's tough. I mean, when Basagog's up there on his own, he's got to deal with everyone coming at him, but he's just trying to hold the ball up, try and get some Hammerheads into attack with him, but the Rhinos did a great job of just swarming him right away.
Johnny Faircloth will play back to Anthony Peters. Around the horn to Andre Campbell. And now you see the spacing from Wilmington looks a lot better than it did 20 minutes ago.
Great short passing right there. And you see guys just popping up in spaces. Ooh. Would have liked to seen that played directly to Moose instead of over the top trying to play a long ball because you had such success with those little triangle passes in that build-up play, but they went for the home run, trying to hit an over-the-top ball to Moose. Unsuccessful, and the Rhinos will take over with this throw-in.
Yep, Brian Ackley is off now for Nick Zimmerman, who was involved in that last string of passes for the Hammerheads. As you can just see, sometimes the ball bounces awkwardly off this turf. That's definitely something you need to get used to. Basagog looks to pressure that back line. Now it's Zimmerman up front. Gets a foot on the ball, but sails into the stands.
Already you've seen a little bit more offense or pressure up front from the Hammerheads since they put Zimmerman on in the game. I mean, who knows what that will affect the defense or the midfield, but thus far, no complaints. They've been pressuring the Rhinos a little bit and pretty well at the same time.
And it just seems like for Wilmington, even though they've had some breakdowns on those set pieces off the corner kicks, their back line has been solid for the most part, with Anthony Peters, Ashani Faircloth, alongside Troy Cole and Andre Campbell, We've seen some communication breakdowns earlier this season as the long ball is played off the head of Ringoff for Rochester.
Well, yeah, during the run of play, the Hammerheads have had no problem dealing with Rochester so far. It's just been on those corner kick set pieces where the Rhinos have had some opportunities, but that's part of the game. They've got to try and find a way to shore up those corner kicks. I mean, as I said earlier, they've given up 6 of their 16 goals off of corners this season, and you have to focus really hard when those corner kicks happen because there's so much going on in the box with contact and runners coming in.
As the free kick for Rochester finds Troy Cole, but now it's Obasi looking for Pat McMahon. Nicholson steps in. A little too aggressive there, and they'll quickly try to play. Now it's Faircloth who steps in as Will Heaney takes over. Heaney to Justin Moose. Moose will play it back to Heaney. Scrappy Rochester defense prevents Wilmington from moving forward for the moment as Zimmerman now with Obasi, but Obasi, a towering figure there on the back line for Rochester. It's Tyler Rudy who plays it far for Andre Rawls, the Hammerheads goalkeeper. Quickly throws over to Andre Campbell. 40th minute of the match, no score between the Hammerheads and Rochester.
And this is where Coach Porter's got to be a little bit concerned when the Rochester starts turning up the pressure on the back line, but good job there by the defenders to play it back to Rawls, and he gets it out.
Tomaselli with a nice ball here along the near sideline to Bassagog, and it looks like it will turn into a Wilmington Hammerheads corner kick, their first of the night. Started off with a nice play by Nick Zimmerman to keep it in play. Nope, we will go with a throw-in as the ball may have gone out of play. And now they will grant a corner kick. Nope, or a throw-in. Not sure what they're going to whistle here.
A little confusing. The ref didn't wave his flag. He looked like he pointed to the corner.
To the corner.
I thought it was a corner kick, but
he must have just been pointing towards possession.
Yeah.
As now the throw-in gets turned away, so... And now the head referee overturns the line judge.
Took a deflection off Cole there.
And here's a chance here for Rochester. Christian Voleski stepped over that ball right there as Nicholson takes over. Voleski looked like he had some space for a moment there and just unable to come up with the handle of the ball.
Really impressed with how the two center backs, Faircloth and Peters, their speed right now is making a difference on that back line. Anytime Rochester has an opening where midfielders or forwards can run on a little bit with the ball, they're closing it down very nicely.
Oshani Faircloth to Troy Cole. Nick Zimmerman off the chest. Just a little too hard, and you could tell once again off this turf, the ball has a lot of bounce.
Yeah, the ball's definitely popping up into the air, and sometimes when you would expect the ball to be just a nice stay on the ground for a pass, but Hammerheads recoup and get the ball now here, and they're going to try a long ball.
As Heaney plays for Andre Campbell. Campbell continues on the pressure. Good run there from Andre Campbell from the back line.
He's putting in a good shift. I mean, early on he was really pressuring them. He took a little break, maybe gathered his breath, and now he's back to pressuring the ball down on that left side.
Nick Zimmerman guarded by Obasi, but Zimmerman retains possession, a little out of control, slows it down as Tomaselli wisely plays back to Troy Cole. Nicholson and Cole. Cole with some vision. Plays to Moose.
Nice pass there by Moose to Zimmerman. And Zimmerman's had an impact since he's come on.
Bassagog trying to wiggle his way from a couple defenders, but sends that far ball, and nobody home for the Hammerheads. Now it's Campbell who steps up. And you can see Wilmington trying to apply a little pressure here in the final stages of the first half.
Nicholson just keeps popping up in the middle of the field with the ball at his feet, and that's got to be a good sign. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to turn that possession into any great chances, but if it keeps it going all game long, it's bound to turn into something.
Justin Moose to Andre Campbell. Back over to Moose. Moose will send a ball into Bassagog, but it's turned away by Ringoff, who's just in the right spot to turn that pass attempt back over to the Rochester Rhinos.
It's going to be tough for Bassagog to win a header amongst the trees that Rochester has on the back line. You got Van de Castiel, who's 6'2", and Obasi, 6'4". A lot of height there on the back line for the Rochester Rhinos.
There's without a doubt, Nick Zimmerman has provided a little spark here for Wilmington, as the Hammerheads have really controlled the possession since he has entered the match.
Great sign. I mean, right before half, whether you get a goal or not, you're going to go into halftime knowing that you kind of dominated the later stages of the half and had possession.
As Faircloth now steps in. Faircloth sends a ball across the field to Andre Campbell. Campbell off 2 hops. Second touch sends it into the middle of the field, into the box. Justin Moose off the side of the frame. Probably the best scoring chance thus far for Wilmington.
Looks like it's going to be a corner kick. I think Moose didn't expect the ball to get to him with the defender in front of him, but it just popped right to him. Wasn't expecting it. Did the best he could with it. Hit off of a Rochester defender, and now we got a corner.
Ross Tomaselli will take the corner kick for Wilmington, their first of the night.
Good chance here before the first half ends to try and get some momentum with a goal. Let's see what the Hammerheads can do.
Tomaselli goes to the middle of the field, and it's a great save there by Brandon Miller. Anthony Peters was right there, and it looked like Peters had a chance for the moment, and then Brandon Miller, the Rhinos goalkeeper, just stepped right in front of Peters. Peters' probably eyes were bulging out of his head there with a chance to find the back of the net. He was all lined up. It looked like he had Tomaselli goes to the middle of the field, and it's a great save there by Brandon Miller. Anthony Peters was right there. It looked like
get a corner as Peters in the air, but nice play by Miller coming out, using his hands to get him to the highest point possible and snagging that ball before Peters could put a head on it.
We are approaching the end of the first half. There's no score here in Wilmington, North Carolina, as the Wilmington Hammerheads have mounted a little bit of an attack here over the last 10 or so minutes.
Great D there by Nicholson. Those are the type of turnovers you want. Just taking the ball in the midfield or in the opposing team's half, it can create something. Rhinos stop play with a foul there, but more possession in the Rhinos' half for Wilmington.
Paul Nicholson will play back to Troy Cole. It'll be Cole with the soft pass looking for Justin Moose. And that will do it here from Legion Stadium in the end of the first half. There's no score between the Wilmington Hammerheads and the Rochester Rhinos. We'll take a break here on the exclusive YouTube channel of Wilmington Hammerheads FC. Again, I'm Joe Katz alongside Jackson Fuller. We'll take a quick break. We'll get to our player spotlight with Tom Parrott, Wilmington Hammerhead FC defender. We'll get a little first half analysis, and we'll get right back to the action here in moments. Just about a 15-minute halftime break. We are scoreless here in Wilmington, North Carolina. It's Wilmington Hammerheads 0, Rochester Rhinos 0.
action, excitement, and the only professional team in town? Don't miss out on the next Wilmington Hammerheads match. Show your support at their next game. Get your season tickets or single game tickets now at wilmingtonhammerheads.com.
And welcome back to Legion Stadium. We are at the break here between your Wilmington Hammerheads and the Rochester Rhinos. Joining us for our player spotlight today is Tom Parrott. And Tom, been with the club for a couple of seasons now. Struggling as of late, 1-5-2 on the year. But with that said, how do you feel the week of training has been leading up to tonight's match?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's difficult when you go on the road and you come back with no points to show for it, but there's glimpses of good things there, and I think everybody's supremely confident that on our home pitch, any day we can turn up and we can get the 3 points that we need, and what better time to do it than against a team that's flying like Rochester.
Well, with that said, we kind of touched on the struggles a bit, but plenty of season to go here, and like you mentioned, what a day to kind of turn it around here today. But what have you seen from the guys over the last week or so since you got back from the road trip that gives you confidence in the club moving forward?
Well, I mean, the big thing is that we're creating chances all over. Even though we're not putting them away, we're making the chances happen. So in training the last couple of days, we've been focusing on, putting the ball in the back of the net. And it sounds corny, but it's the most difficult thing to do. But if you get in the habit of it in training, then it's gonna come to fruition come game time. Well,
going forward, a big game today. You're going to have another match midweek, so it's kind of all the games here kind of getting scrunched up. How has the body felt so far? How has the training been for yourself?
It's been okay. I mean, we've got a big squad to choose from, so it's we can spread the wear a little bit. I think everybody feels really good that we've got Mark Williams on board, with his sports science element, and he's been huge for us, injury prevention, recovery, regeneration. So yeah, I think everybody feels good, myself included.
Well, transitioning kind of from last season into this year with Coach Porter on the sidelines now for you, what has been the big difference in maybe the style of play and how you have fit into this style?
Yeah, I think everybody noticed as soon as he came in that there was a definite emphasis on possession and a passing game, where previously we'd maybe been a little bit more direct. I think there's still times to do both, and we've got to find when to do what, and that's been the biggest sort of point that we need to get right, I think.
Well, lastly, you kind of mentioned how you have a lot of depth on the roster here and a lot of moving pieces in the USL Pro League, and that goes with all the organizations here. A lot of different players coming in, coming out. How has the team kind of started to gel around, basically your core?
Right. I mean, since day one, we realized that we had a really good locker room. There's a good spirit about it. We've got all the characters that you need. And then when we get people coming in from New York, they come in and they want to do a job. They want to perform wearing the Hammerheads shirt. So that's vitally important as well.
Tom Parrott, Wilmington Hammerhead FC defender. We're at the break here at Legion Stadium. We're getting back into the second half between your Wilmington Hammerheads and the Rochester Rhinos. Tom, thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Appreciate it. Cheers.
All right, we'll take a break, and we'll get back to you in a second.
I'm Troy Cole. I'm from Laguna Hills, California. Youth soccer took me to college soccer, which took me to the professional ranks. And then later on, I landed in Wilmington. The community in Wilmington, it couldn't be any more welcoming. The satisfaction of being a professional is people recognizing you at these places and us recognizing them, because they are the reason that we get to do what we love.
We represent the city when we're on the road, and we represent the city when we're at home as well. So it's important that we're putting our best foot forward, and we give the city an avenue to express and showcase themselves on a national level. The experience of a Wilmington Hammerhead game is extremely important to me. We need to ensure that families of all ages come out and have a good time.
One of the things that we're really proud about is, when we look at our roster right now, or we look at our first 11, we're talking about guys that hopefully are going to have long careers in the highest leagues, whether it's here with us in Wilmington, whether it's in the MLS, or whether it's in Europe and beyond.
Our newest initiative is partnering with the largest youth club in the area. They've now taken on our crest. It brings our vision together, following a very similar path to many European clubs, whereas you have players who can start at the youngest age and work their way up and develop while having a model to look at and something to aspire to become. We want to be role models not only to the kids that look up to our players, but we want the cities to look at us and say, wow, Wilmington Hammerheads contribute a lot to our town. We want to walk away at the end of the day and say we've done everything we can to give back to our community.
The fans, they remember you, they see you on the streets, they say hello to you. How special is that?
Welcome back, soccer fans, to Legion Stadium in Wilmington, North Carolina. Alongside Jackson Fuller, I'm Joe Katz, bringing you this evening's contest between the Wilmington Hammerheads and the Rochester Rhinos. We are locked in a scoreless draw through the first 45 minutes of action. And Jackson, we saw Rochester take the upper hand in the early stages of the match. Justin Moose came away with two big saves, as the midfielder came away with two big saves, locked on the post off of a couple of corner kicks. But over the final 10-15 minutes of that first period, it was Nick Zimmerman coming on for Brian Ackley, and it looked like the Hammerheads had the better tempo over the final stages of that first half.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it looked somewhat like they removed Ackley, who was playing in a central midfield, and put Zimmerman on to try and get some more offense going at the final third of Rochester, and it worked for sure. I mean, Wilmington possessed the ball better, had some opportunities, and the defense has been solid. I mean, there's really been no Rochester opportunities aside from the couple corner kicks where Moose was able to head the ball off the line. So overall, I think Coach Porter's got to be pleased with your 0-0 tied with a team that right now is at the top of the table. It's going to be interesting to see whether he goes for it, against a really nice Rochester defense, or if they play back and try and get a point here tonight. But I think they should go for it, as at 1-5-2 right now. You got to try and get some momentum going as the season hits high gear.
Yeah, and really a loss tonight would set them back, miles from that top of the table right now with Rochester. 6 wins, 18 points on the year. Wilmington with just 5 points on the season with their 1-5-2 mark. So we'll see how the final 45 minutes of action plays out. The Hammerheads will be moving from right to left on your video screen here over the final 45 minutes of action. Hammerheads in their traditional blue kits, while the Rochester Rhinos wear their green and gold. Looks like the Hammerheads will stick with their starting 11, or minus Brian Ackley with the sub for Nick Zimmerman. They will make no changes heading into the second half. We could probably suspect we may see 1 or 2 substitutions for Wilmington. A lot of depth on this roster right now, as we caught up with Tom Parrott during our player profile over the first half break. And Tom talked about the lineup and just the number of quality players they have on their side. Just a matter of putting the pieces together right now for a Wilmington team that has struggled to find the back of the net. Rochester has only surrendered 3 goals this season, as we get the second half underway, as the stadium lights begin to illuminate the pitch here at Legion Stadium. No score between your Wilmington Hammerheads and the Rochester Rhinos, and we'll have our first offsides of the night, as the side official there finally gets the attention of the head referee.
It'll be interesting, too, to see Rochester's kind of vantage point from this game. Of course, they're top of the table, but they're on the road. Legion Stadium, the turf, it's not really an easy place to come in and get a win. We'll see if they go for it, or if they kind of sit back on their strengths and their laurels and play some solid defense and hope for maybe a counterattack or something that their defense provides turning into some offense.
And we have Anthony Peters down hard right now, is not moved here in the last few seconds, as the referee now attends to him, and he rolls over, and he will call out the training staff. So an early stoppage here, just 1 minute into the second half, and a key piece to the Hammerheads back line tonight is down, grimacing with his hands on his head, and he'll be quickly attended to by the Wilmington training staff.
Definitely some looks of concern from the rest of the Hammer. His teammates coming to pat him on the side, holding his head. That's never a good sign on the soccer field, but sitting up now.
And you could see kind of him saying to the staff that he's okay. Now looks like he's getting kind of a concussion protocol test there, making sure his peripheral vision is working out, and he seems to be okay, and will get to his feet on his own accord He will have to leave the match for a moment until he's granted permission by referee Doug Hartman to re-enter. And he is moving, so that is a good sign. As we take a look at the Port City firm, the Wilmington faithful giving a good round of applause to Anthony Peters, who has played a big role for Wilmington in that back line tonight.
Yeah, he's been great for them. I mean, his mix of size and speed has kind of frustrated Rochester to this point. Anytime they look like they're got a moment to kind of zoom off and attack, he's been able to close them down. And then whenever a ball's been in the air, he's been able to clear it. Done a really nice job, Peters and Fairclough tonight.
So we will just play it on back to Andre Rawls, who made one big save in that first half. And then Justin Moose kind of bailed the Hammerheads out twice off of a pair of corner kicks that eventually found the post and would have been goals, but Moose was there to turn both of them away.
And that's a great job by Moose, but also Rawls, his knowing that Moose is there on the post gives him some license to kind of roam and jump out and try and close the angle down. So even if you do get a header to the one spot where Rawls isn't covering the post, Moose was there, able to protect the goal and conserve a scoreless tie right now. Another somewhat sloppy start to the half here. Both teams kind of knocking the ball in the air and out of bounds.
Whereas really Wilmington started to come into form there in that final 15 minutes of that first half, and Rochester kind of wants to muck it up a little bit here. And for them, as you kind of mentioned, at 6-0-2 right now, you got to think that they would be content with the fact of coming away with a draw here. If they can escape with the result, they would take it, of course, and the 3 points. But sitting atop the table, a draw doesn't necessarily hurt them, where Wilmington desperately needs those 3 points.
Absolutely. Ooh.
And a loose ball, hard strike finds Peters, who has re-entered the match, and the attempt goes off the side of the frame. So quickly, Rochester there on the counter, and it looked like the Rhinos had a chance, but again, Peters came in, sitting atop the table. A draw doesn't necessarily hurt them. 6'6" frame was there to deflect the ball away.
Yeah, a dangerous long throw-in right there from the Rhinos, and right before that, I was just about to say, I think that one goal in this match is really going to open it up. I mean, if the Rhinos score a goal, Wilmington is going to be desperate to try and find a way to avoid a 3-match losing streak, whereas if Wilmington was able to score a goal, the Rhinos one thing they don't want to come here and not get a point against the Hammerheads, who are 1-5-2. They need to get a point, whether that's a draw or the win, and if we could get a goal here within the next 10 to 20 minutes, we'd be in store for an exciting finish of one team really going all out for another goal.
Andre Campbell. Well, it's Rochester now. Back to Andre Campbell. Over to Ross Tomaselli. Tomaselli having kind of a quiet night. Does go to the far side.
Great ball from Tomaselli there. Well done from Cole, too, to cut in and continue the run.
Was looking for Nick Zimmerman. And it's Zimmerman again. And we'll have another throw-in. Whereas we saw that kind of long throw-in by Rochester, Wilmington seems to be okay with the fact they just throw it short. A missed bicycle kick attempt nearly landed on the foot of Justin Moose, which would have been an easy putback and goal for Wilmington.
Yeah, I think if Moose would have known the bicycle attempt was going to be a whiff, he would have been right on that ball. Unfortunately, he went for it first time and put himself in a little awkward position to try and get back to it after the whiff.
And once again, it's Justin Moose to Nicholson, over to Troy Cole. Play continues. Shawnee Fairclough finds Moose, and it's back to Nicholson. See a couple of string of touches here. Wilmington seems to be gathering a little momentum here and possession with Tomaselli in the midfield. We'll find Cole again on the far sideline. This time Cole unable to come up with the handle.
There's definitely an opening there. I mean, that's the second consecutive time Tomaselli on this near side of the pitch has found a long ball to Cole and put it right on the money. So maybe there's an opening there later on between the two.
Off the left foot from Faircloth. It'll be ring off for Rochester. Plays to Mike Garzi. Pat McMahon back over to Garzi. Garzi continues. They'll send a looping ball into the right edge of the 18-yard box. Andre Campbell comes in, tries to turn it away, and does so. Keeps it in play. Nope, it'll go out of bounds, so it will be a throw-in for Pat McMahon for Rochester.
Nice job by Campbell there to adjust to it and get it out. It looked like a dangerous ball for a split second, but Campbell was right there.
Troy Cole out of the back line, unable to find Zimmerman. Anoa Obasi for Rochester. Plays it ahead to Mike Garzi. Some space as Faircloth comes sliding in to deflect it away. Tomaselli and Andre Campbell. Played on from Moose, back to Tomaselli. Caught Faircloth off guard.
Wow, very, very dangerous tackle in the midfield there from number 20, or number 20, who was that? Number 22, Julian Ringoff?
Yep. And now we'll play a long ball challenging Anthony Peters, who crashes down once again. Tries to get back to his feet. Does so, but it's Rochester's Mike Garzi with the low strike deflected. And Rawls will keep it in play. As it looks like we have some cramping and Peters will go down.
Faircloth was banged up in the first, a couple knocks here in the second half, and he's down asking, it looked like he was asking for the trainers to come out and attend to looked like a leg injury. Possibly just a cramp.
And the training staff will be out once again to attend to Anthony Peters here in the 54th minute. There's no score between Rochester and Wilmington. On a beautiful night here in Wilmington, North Carolina, the crowd has been a bit subdued here over the last, first half at least, but a great crowd nonetheless here at Legion Stadium, as the local community has definitely come to support this pro soccer club over the last number of years, and especially this season, of course, second year under their new management, new general manager, new coach now, Carson Porter taking over on the sidelines, as Peters will now leave the match, and it looks like we will have a substitution. This portion of the match is sponsored by USLsoccer.com. Have you visited the new USLsoccer.com? Get the latest news and live stats and check out the new social media hub at USLsoccer.com.
You mentioned new coach, Coach Carson Porter. Obviously not the start he really wanted to the season, but sometimes that happens in soccer. When you're a new coach, you come in, you want to try and develop new tactics and formations and strategies, and it might take a time for the Hammerheads to gel, but, no better time to start that gelling process than at home in front of your fans against a really quality soccer club in Rochester.
So as Peters kind of gimps off, we will go to Brian Anunga. Will step in place of Anthony Peters as he kind of limps off the field. So Anunga, another late addition to the Wilmington Hammerhead FC roster this year. A fellow Cameroonian alongside Christian Bassagog. So Onunga will replace Peters. We'll see how that affects the Wilmington back line and what they've been able to do.
Well, right off the bat, it looks like Nicholson's going to slide down from more of a center midfield to the center back position, and that's going to allow Onunga to play his more comfortable midfielder role.
It'll be Zimmerman battling for possession. Won by Rochester. Obasi unable to get all of that as Zimmerman continues to fight with Obasi. Will Heaney will give chase as Brandon Miller will now use his peripheral to take a look at the entire pitch. We'll send it right down the middle. Finds Paul Nicholson. And it's settled down by Mike Garzi, but stolen away, and a foul called on Anunga.
Right into the action, right off the bench, causing havoc.
It's exactly what you want, because Anthony Peters has definitely, could possibly be missed there, just that presence on that back line for Wilmington. As it's Anunga who plays up to Troy Cole.
And this was supposed to be Nicholson's first game back in the midfield, a position he played a lot last year. He started out this season as a center back, but he was moved to the midfield today, and 55 minutes in, he's back in the defense because of an injury.
And there's Nicholson stepping right in and finds Troy Cole with some space on the far sideline, crossing midfield. Ryan Anunga back to Troy Cole. Anunga wants to move forward. Justin Moose can't turn it over. Settled down by Christian Valesky for Rochester. Play continues as Anunga is looking for his countryman, Basagog, but it goes out of play. And it'll be a throw-in for the Rhinos.
Almost a very nice save.
We'll find some space there off the right edge of the penalty area. Mike Garzi. And it is turned away by Faircloth, but it will be a corner kick forthcoming for Rochester.
Really dangerous movement there from Rochester. The ball just really quickly swung from the far side of the field to the near side, and it looked like Garzi had an opportunity to swing it across, but he took it a little bit too long. But I think Rochester will be okay with a corner kick, saying how the first couple ones have gone for them so far. They've been pretty dangerous. Johnny
Mendoza will take the corner for Rochester. And Mendoza will send one to the far post. Finds Obasi. The second touch turned away. Looked like it was Andre Campbell. And the counter for Wilmington. As you can see, the speedy Basagog hustling through. And is turned away for Rochester. Or by Rochester. But you could see, if you get that Basagog, Christian Basagog, some open space, he could provide a little bolt of lightning, something that Wilmington sorely needs right now as we approach the 60th minute.
Tough no call there from the referee. It looked like Heaney had gotten tripped there, but referee said that the defender had gotten some ball first and no call. It would have been a dangerous spot for a free kick.
Anunga unable to find a teammate there in a scramble, and it will be a foul on Wilmington.
Heaney still trying to talk to the ref about that foul on the in the final third of Rochester, but referee just didn't have it. He said clearly that the Rochester man got the ball first before Heaney went down, and if that's what the referee believes, it's not going to be a foul called 90% of the time if the defender gets the ball first.
Portion of the match presented by Facebook. Become a fan of the USL on Facebook for exclusive league news and interactive content. Become a fan of the USL Pro Soccer League on Facebook.
One adjustment we've seen 15 minutes into the second half is Heaney playing more as the central striker, and Basagog is been on the left side trying to get him some space down the sideline to run, and it'll be interesting to see how that pays off as the game goes on. Heaney played more in the midfield now. He's going to serve as the lone striker kind of up top.
Hasn't been much, I don't know the word, I guess, just hasn't been, both teams have kind of just staggered, it's kind of just pushing themselves through this second half, whereas, both teams kind of played a bit more cleanly there in that first half. Obviously, some injuries, some foul calls here to pause the action, but it looks like both teams just trying to find themselves once again here in the second half.
I think both teams are trying to feel the other one out of what their game plan is with this game early on. I think neither team's been overly aggressive and neither team's been overly conservative, so it's caused for a lot of play in the midfield and not many avenues for that can be exploited, with both teams kind of playing a little conservative.
Well, we kind of knew that coming into the match, just based on the statistics, with Rochester having surrendered only 3 goals all season in 8 matches. And the Hammerheads, of course, playing on their home pitch, a lot more comfortable here, following that brief 2-game road swing. It's Brian Anunga, substitution for Anthony Peters a few minutes ago. Justin Moose tries to create some havoc with the Rochester back line. Now Will Heaney will come in and crash as Troy Cole goes down, but play continues, and it's an offside as the line official was right on the call. Just a couple of steps in front of that final defender for Wilmington.
Looks like we're going to the final sub for Coach Porter already, just 65 minutes in. I think that's Mark Gottleman over on the sideline, a forward.
So it looks like Mark Gottleman will replace Will Heaney. Now Rochester with a player down. And Heaney will come out for Gottleman. So Heaney's night is done. And we'll save a pair of fresh legs.
No more subs, though. So injuries, cramps. Hammerheads are going to have to play through it while Rochester still has all 3 of their subs left. And that could be a difference maker and when the game gets into its final stages. I mean, players are bound to cramp up. I mean, they already were going to get water just 20 minutes in. But
Tyler Rudy will leave for the moment for Rochester after going down right towards midfield. So a couple of changes here for Wilmington in the second half. Rochester is stuck with their starting 11 through 65 minutes. Things have definitely slowed down here, though, with these injuries, as we try to get some pace to this game here. Locked in a scoreless draw, 65 minutes into the match. Brian Anunga. There's just a miscommunication there once again. Looked like Troy Cole wanted to run that sideline, and Anunga had a different idea.
And right now with a player sideline for Rochester, you can see just how much of a defensive mindset they really had for that stretch. They're just packing it in. Only one guy, one striker ahead of the ball, everyone else behind the ball. And Wilmington tried to take advantage. They only had 2 center backs stay back. They had their wing backs try and push on and attack, but nothing coming of it with that packed, even with 10 players, a packed defense there for Rochester.
Andre Campbell will play ahead. The new addition to the lineup right now, Gottleman, gave chase, and Rochester content with turning it away. The 50-50 ball won by Wilmington. Andre Campbell staying on his feet. Rochester throwing at midfield. Pat McMahon will play it. Cole steps in with the header. Both teams kind of just jostling back and forth right now.
Been very sloppy. I mean, we had a sloppy start to the game, but it kind of wore off after the first 10 minutes. Right now, we're just over 20 minutes into this second half, and neither team really with an opportunity yet, I don't think. It's been very sloppy, a lot of play in the midfield, but the Hammerheads, we've said it, they're playing the top team in the table. 0-0, that's got to be a good sign. You're always just one great opportunity away from pulling off the upset at this stage, and Coach Porter's got to be pleased with that. He used up his final sub to get Gottleman in the game, a true forward unlike Heaney, and he's definitely trying to get some offense in there with Gottleman.
Nice ball won there for Rochester. Both players go down. A little dangerous. On the back heels of Paul Nicholson as Colin Rolfe is issued a caution here in the 68th minute of action. Our first card of the day.
Took a while, but usually when you get the first one, they start coming in on a dime after that pretty regularly. So we'll see what happens now with the yellow cards after the first one's been pulled by the referee.
It's a Shawnee Faircloth. Back over to Paul Nicholson. Nicholson looking for Andre Campbell. Finds his foot. Christian Bassagog with some space here on the left edge. Bassagog to the middle of the penalty area. Nobody home for Wilmington. One of their best runs of the night.
Yeah, Bassagog rushed it a little bit. I mean, he felt like he had to with oncoming defenders, but I think he had a little bit more time, and he could have looked up and delivered maybe not as hard, but a little bit better of a placement cross. Unfortunately, his cross just did not find any Hammerheads in the box.
All right, we will now have our first sub for Rochester, as it looks like Colin Rolfe will come out, and we'll have another player down. Approaching the 70th minute, sponsored by Twitter. Follow at USL on Twitter to become a league insider, join club conversations, and have a chance at exclusive giveaways. Follow the USL Pro Soccer League on Twitter at USL. Follow the Wilmington Hammerheads at WILM Hammerheads. Player down is Canardo Forbes. He's now back to his feet.
More injury time, too. I mean, already we've had two pretty lengthy stoppages for injury, and that's just going to add on to the end of the game.
So we will have, I would say, definitely, like you mentioned, more than our fair share of time here after the 90th minute. But Wilmington has been hanging with the top team in the Eastern Conference right now through the early stages of this USL season.
Definitely. This hasn't been a scoreless game where Rochester's had the upper hand and they just haven't been able to score. Aside from the corner kicks, I'd say Wilmington really has had more opportunities. They've been a little bit more dangerous in the final third of the field, but Rochester's known for their defense, so maybe they're a team that's won a lot of games, and it's been based on the fact that they don't give up very many goals, so that's kind of playing to the tune of the Rochester music right now. Let's see how the game kind of closes out here and whether Wilmington can maybe find the back of the net.
Andre Campbell will play with his left foot. to Christian Basagog. And it was Anunga looking for Campbell.
I like what Anunga's brought to the field since he's come on. He's, hasn't done anything tremendous, but he's hustling everywhere. He's making the right pass from time to time. Had a little bit of a miscommunication on one circumstance with Cole, but he's doing everything that the Hammerheads need him to do in the midfield.
Justin Moose was looking for Christian Basagog. Basagog will continue. Play it back to Andre Campbell. Campbell to Mark Gottleman. Over to Anunga. Back to Gottleman. Gottleman weaving his way through the defense. Their Hammerheads starting to take some shape here. Off a lackadaisical pass, however.
And that's just something you can't have when you start possessing the ball like that. A lackadaisical pass that eventually leads to a turnover. I mean, right there you have to try and you have to be sharp with your passes because you have momentum, you have possession, and something like that ruins it very quickly.
Play continues now in the back line for Wilmington as Campbell sends a left foot right towards a Rochester player, and it will be Conardo Forbes playing to the far side. A couple of touches. Now it's Christian Voleski. Back to Forbes in the middle, and Obasi nearly had a chance to find the back of the net. Nicholson was in the mix, but a golden opportunity for Anoa Obasi as it trickles out of play, which will turn into yet another corner kick. And Johnny Mendoza, who has had the chances today from that corner area. We'll see what Mendoza can dial up here for the Rhinos in the 74th minute.
Wonderful job by Nicholson there to stay with the run from Obasi.
Well defended for Wilmington. The low strike deflected back away. Going to try to bring it back.
This is dangerous. A lot of Hammerheads just sprung to the other side of the field. They got lucky, but a lot of the Hammerheads, 4 of them, just sprung looking for the counterattack, and Rochester turned it back over and had an opportunity there, but the Hammerheads come away with the ball.
Paul Nicholson for the Wilmington Hammerheads dropped into that defense after a couple of substitutions for Coach Carson Porter here in the second half, one because of injury. And then the second substitution of this half, of course, Will Heaney, replaced by Mark Gottleman, who's been kind of quiet here since he's entered.
And, of course, we had that very, very early substitution where Brian Ackley came off for Nick Zimmerman. And Zimmerman had a great first half, but he's been kind of quiet here in the second half. He's got the ball now.
And is turned away as Obasi.
Obasi's been everywhere. I mean, he plays a part of that defense, but he was right there a moment ago with a chance for a goal-scoring opportunity.
Now it's turned away quickly by Rochester. And now in the midfield, it's Justin Moose with some room to shimmy. And Moose will strike, and the shot attempt is saved by Brandon Miller. A great strike there from Justin Moose from, I would say, about 30, 35 yards out. Went to the upper 90 there, and Brandon Miller was right there for the save.
Yeah, I think Miller had it covered the whole way, but that's something you want to see. I mean, Moose, he, as you said, shimmied around for a little bit looking for a passer. He saw no one, but he also saw the Rochester defense back off of him for a split second, and he took that opportunity and had a strike on goal. It was a good shot, forced a save. Miller had it covered, but still, you have to force saves, and good moment there for the Hammerheads as we close in on about the 78th minute.
It's Steven Humberto Fortes dos Santos playing ahead for Rochester, and a golden opportunity there for the Rhinos. Moves just wide as Rawls was pulled out off of the end line, and the chance just missed. And we'll look at the replay here. A great opportunity off the ball, and the one-time attempt at an open net. Rawls out of the end line as it sailed wide.
Yeah, beat the keeper, but he also beat the post there. Unfortunate for Rochester. And, Faircloth, he had a moment like that early in the first half where instead of going for the ball when he knew he couldn't reach it, he turned around and marked his man, waited for the first touch. That time he went for the ball. He came up with a whiff, and that allowed the Rochester attacker to have a second of open space, and he nearly capitalized on it.
So Rochester counters following the strike by Justin Moose, but still have come up empty. As both teams kind of jockeying for position here in this final 15 or so minutes of the match. Really just trying to get that one chance to put one in the back of the net. For Rochester, they've had a couple of opportunities there in the first half. Obviously, their best chance there here in this period, but Wilmington needs to continue playing this strong defensive game as they have for the most part, as Andre Campbell takes a strike right on the chin.
Went down for just a very short time and back to heading balls away. That's what you'd like to see out of your defender. Take one off the chin, but get right back up and get back to work. Hammers have kind of lost their mojo here in the last 5-10 minutes. It's been all Rhinos possessing the ball really nicely.
As we kind of just go back and forth now. This looks like Christian Basagog goes down, possibly with some cramping. But as you allotted to before, Wilmington all out of subs for the rest of the match. As Nicholson looking for Basagog, but it's easily turned away by the Rochester back line. And this time it's Anunga who steps in to try to get the momentum going. But you could definitely see the cramping starting to take effect on Christian Basagog as he is now trying to stretch himself out.
That's expected, though. I mean, Basagog has been running all over the field. I mean, in the first half, he was the only striker up there, and Wilmington consistently just launched long balls, tried to find him on the run, and never successfully. But that threat has kind of worn down Basagog here in the later stages of the game, it seems like.
There's nothing really the Hammerheads could do at this point with him being down, as again this will just extend play past the 90-minute mark with Christian Basagog getting attended to. This portion of the match is presented by Nike, a proud partner of the USL Pro Soccer League. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike soccer information. Nike.com/soccer. So as Basagog gets helped to his feet by the training staff, he will be sent off until he is able to return, granted permission. But he is still getting attended to there by the training staff, as it looks like Basagog is out now. And it looks like 24, Fran Martinez will step in. So Fran Martinez will replace Christian Basagog. Martinez, the Spanish defender, getting a chance here in the final stages of this match. And Tomaselli will now leave.
Guess we were wrong on the 3 substitutions, Joe.
I'm starting to believe that now.
You
that
know.
I've seen 2 fresh bodies come out there for Wilmington.
It happens.
It'll be Tom Parrott replacing Ross Tomaselli, and Fran Martinez enters the match for Christian Basagog.
It just means Rochester has more substitutions, too.
Rochester will also go to the bench, as I don't think the assistant referee out there can keep track of all these substitutions. And Gottleman takes one in the mouth. Andre Rawls with the big right foot. Gottleman working for position.
Got to be impressed with Rawls tonight. I mean, he's been pretty consistent since he's been a part of this Wilmington Hammerheads team. But even though he only has 1 save, the defense has been organized, and that's really the responsibility of the keeper. He's done a pretty nice job keeping everybody in shape, in line, and they've escaped every opportunity that Rochester has had. And but for the most part, Rochester hasn't been too threatening. Only 1 chance really in the second half, and all their first half threats came via the corner kick.
The substitution for Rochester, number 2, Marcus Ugarte, replacing number 29, Tyler Rudy. As both teams feeling the effects of a back-and-forth contest as Nick Zimmerman comes crashing in, and it looks like both of them collided there right in front of that 18-yard line. It was Ringoff holding his head and Zimmerman down.
Yeah, it looked like Zimmerman kind of jumped, and Ringoff knew that he had his keeper, Brandon Miller, coming up from behind, and he didn't need to jump, but his head colliding with the back of Zimmerman, and definitely 2 places on the body where you don't want to feel pain, the back and the head, but both players up now and trying to shake it off.
So we have seen a lot of trainers out here in this second half as both players get a little round of applause for their hard work.
Over or under 4 minutes of stoppage time, Joe?
I'm going to go with over.
Yeah, me too. I think we might have 5.
Either team has really been able to not been able to gain any momentum or set themselves in a type of groove here. It's been so sporadic, the play here in this second half, where both teams have not been able to find their true form here, as we kind of saw both teams do that in that first period.
Yeah, I mean, since Rochester's big opportunity that went wide, we've really had about 10 minutes of the ball just kind of being knocked around from one end of the field to the other, neither team really posing much of a threat, and neither team really connecting on too many passes. I mean, we've had at least 5 minutes with the ball just being on this side of the field, dealing with injuries and stoppages with the ball out of bounds. It's been a little tough patch for both teams.
And now another player down, a couple of elbows getting thrown.
I don't know. This ref, he started off calling everything, and now he's really reluctant to call anything, it seems like. I mean, Anunga took an elbow to the face, and no call there from the referee.
And then a quick whistle there. It looked like an elbow that got thrown by Gottleman, but...
Yeah, well, hopefully the referee's seen enough now where he has to start calling everything, but...
It'll be Nick Zimmerman playing ahead. Gottleman trying to catch up here with the ball. Now it's Zimmerman again, stepping in front of the counter. Justin Moose trying to get involved. Zimmerman obviously tripped up there. An easy foul called, and this could be One of the best positions off a free kick Wilmington has had all night. We saw a strike from Justin Moose in this neck of the woods. I mean, that could have easily been a caution.
And Rochester's complaining because maybe Nick Zimmerman doesn't get to that ball, but still, the trip is a trip. It looked a little malicious, too, just sticking a leg late out there. Opportunity here. Fran Martinez, the sub, looks like he's going to try and take this with his left foot and send it in.
The late substitution in Fran Martinez. And he will send the left foot in and right on a short hop to Brandon Miller. He gobbled it up for the easy save.
Good keeping by Miller, too, because the Hammerheads had attackers coming in to try and capitalize on a rebound, but Miller just held on tight to the ball, not giving Wilmington a chance.
Rochester will look to counter here with a little space, and it's in the back of the net. Steven Umberto Fortes dos Santos gives Rochester the 1-0 lead. 88th minute of the match. A heartbreaker for the Wilmington Hammerheads after a great chance on a free kick from Fan Martinez. Quick on the counter for Rochester, and they call him Duba. Gives Rochester the 1-goal lead.
Happened in the blink of an eye, too. I mean, really didn't seem like Rochester was building much, and then all of a sudden, one quick long ball, and Duba gets on the end of it and fires it home. Tough break for the Hammerheads. They've been playing such great defense all night, but nothing they could have done there.
I really just like saying Steven Umberto Fortes dos Santos with the goal.
It says on our sheet, Duba is the nickname, and we're allowed to call him that, but
I'm going to go with the long name.
You've perfected the long name at this point. And especially on the goal call, you got to say the whole name there.
So just a heartbreaker of a goal there for the Wilmington Hammerheads. Have played so strong defensively all night, held their mark in key situations, and as you mentioned, just one little counter attack, a couple of passes put together, and Duba comes free inside the penalty area and finds the back of the net. And the Rochester Rhinos now in cruise control here as we hit the 90th minute of action. The time will be kept on the field here by head official Doug Hartman. But really just a heartbreaker here has really just deflated the crowd.
Deflated the team, too. I mean, right away you saw Gottleman and Campbell. They tried to get the defenders and the midfielders like, let's go up and attack. But, I mean, it's been a great performance by the Hammerheads defense tonight. Just one mishap at the end of the game might cost them a point.
But you see there with that injury to Peters there, that middle of the field was basically taken, or the final third of that middle. That's 6'6" Anthony Peters with the Shawnee Faircloth there. They had a good combination in the back. They had to adjust their lineup, and it ends up hurting the cause here in the final stages. It will be a Hammerheads corner kick, and they're going to hustle to it as it looks like Tom Parrott will take the corner for Wilmington, with a chance to find the equalizer. And it'll be Parrott to the far post. Finds Campbell, no. Now Justin Moose. Back over to Parrott.
Good ball back to the outside.
Parrott will send a strike in off the head and back of the net. It's the equalizer. They level the match. A huge goal by a Shawnee Faircloth. And Wilmington has tied the game at 1 just moments after Rochester looked like they found the result on a goal by Duba. It's Faircloth on the cross. And the Hammerheads have tied things up at 1.
Unbelievable. We can go 87, 88 minutes of nothing. You get one quick goal on a kind of a clumsy play from the Hammerheads defense, and then all of a sudden Wilmington turns up the pressure. They get a corner kick once again, great pass from Moose back out here on the left-hand side, and then a tremendous cross into the box from, who was that had the cross? Was it Martinez?
It looked like it was Parrott on the
yeah.
cross. Another sub here late in the match. We caught up with him during our halftime break. So he gets the assist as Faircloth found just enough space in there to find the back of the net, and it's 1-1. And they level the match just in time as we are expecting the final whistle to blow at any moment.
A little bit ironic, too, because Rochester's best opportunities have come from corner kicks. They score on the run of play, and then Wilmington hasn't really had any corner kicks, but the one of the few that they get in the final, in stoppage time, they're able to convert for a goal.
I'd love to get another look at this goal for Wilmington as Rochester now play, and a run goes wide left. And that will likely wrap things up here from Legion Stadium. But a dramatic finish to what's been an up-and-down second half.
Looks like the Hammers are going to try and go for it a little bit here. I mean, we're at the 94th minute. If we have 4 minutes of stoppage time, there's still about 40 seconds left to go. Let's see what the Hammerheads can do. Going to
take another look at this goal here. As you saw Justin Moose really settle that ball down perfectly and get it over to Parrott, who's able to send this little cross in with his right foot. And it just right in, Faircloth is right there in the middle, just a perfectly placed ball and an easy goal for Ashani Faircloth. That's Faircloth's second score of the season.
There is
As now Gottleman will try to push forward, and he is wrestled out of bounds. Or Gottleman throws down the defender. And now this is where this intensity, we like to I know it's tough to sustain this type of intensity for 94 minutes, but you would like to see a little more life from the Hammerheads, and to see this consistency, to see this intensity throughout the course of an entire match. You could just see they are re-energized, obviously. One moment they look deflated, and the next moment they look like a totally different club.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, both teams kind of right now, I think, with just the energy of the game, both teams scoring here towards the end, they're both trying to go for the full 3 points.
And Duba, using his big frame to try to get loose in the middle of the penalty area, took out about 3 other players. As play continues, Fran Martinez will send a strike across field. It's Nick Zimmerman.
Terrific ball from Martinez.
And Zimmerman will continue to push forward, but that looks like that'll do it as both teams had a chance. One last chance.
Referee takes a look at his clock here, too.
Now Andre Rawls had a little mishap there inside the 18-yard area, and it turns into a quick throw-in for Rochester. Canardo Forbes will send one in. Troy Cole perfectly placed. And you got to think now for the Hammerheads as Obasi sends a touch in, but Martinez is right there to turn it away. You have to think Wilmington just very pleased here with able to come away with a draw now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they had a little bit of life initially when they first scored that goal, but it seems like a lot of guys are cramping, and it looks like the referee's about to blow this game dead.
And that is a final here at Legion Stadium. A dramatic finish to tonight's match between your Wilmington Hammerheads FC and the Rochester Rhinos. As we wrap it up here at Legion Stadium, both teams are exhausted on the pitch right now, as kind of we are, sticking with this match through 85-plus minutes, finally getting a goal on a substitute by Duba. Finds one into the back of the net, and then just when you thought the Wilmington Hammerheads were on their last leg, And their last lifeline, Tom Parrott, a late sub, finds a Shawnee Faircloth to level the match at 1-1, and that's where we stand tonight, a 1-1 finish.
Well, I think just hearing that Faircloth scored the goal, not on the initial corner kick, lets you know just how desperate the Hammerheads were for the equalizing goal there to make sure they got a point. After the corner kick was initially defended by Rochester, Faircloth didn't immediately try and get back into his position. He stayed up front. He waited for the second cross from Parrott to come in, and it was just a beautiful cross right into Faircloth's head, and he was able to steer it goalwards. Tremendous finish for the Hammerheads as they dodge a bullet. They did not want to lose this game and extend that losing streak to 3. They come away with a draw in front of their home fans and an exciting finish. And they played solid defense for 90 minutes. You still would like to see the offense start to come around, though.
The Hammerheads will improve to 1-5-3 this season. Each team will tally a point in the USL Pro standings. Rochester will go to 6-0-3 on the year. So both teams come away with a point. And you would think for Wilmington, played a strong 85 minutes of soccer, one little defensive lapse right there, but they're able to get that one back. So as we wrap it up here from Legion Stadium, atop the stadium right now, Jackson, you got to think that, of course, you come into tonight's match, you're always looking to get a result and come away with those 3 points, but had a tall task at hand going up against one of the top teams in the USL Pro this season in Rochester, top of the Eastern Conference right now. They go down to them late in the match, come away with a draw. You have to think that the Hammerheads have a lot of confidence at least coming out of this match.
Definitely, and I think there's also some positives that they can take away from this match. I mean, initially, before Anthony Peters got hurt, the Peters-Faircloth tandem in the back worked pretty well. Paul Nicholson looked like he was finding himself in some good spaces up the middle. And Nick Zimmerman, again, he came on. He didn't do too much in the second half, but he came on in the first half as a substitute and really impacted the game. It's not a win. They would have loved to have 3 points, but against the best team in the table right now, a team that hasn't lost a game, to score a goal, maybe that'll build some confidence for the offense as well as they head into the middle stretch of this season.
Yes, Hammerhead's able to find the equalizing goal in extra time, and that's where we stand at 1-1, a final score here at Legion Stadium in Wilmington, North Carolina. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast, everyone, here exclusively on the Wilmington Hammerhead FC YouTube channel. For everyone here inside the press box, our producers with Turbo Sports Group, for Jackson Fuller, I'm Joe Katz. Your final score from Legion Stadium tonight: Rochester 1, Wilmington 1. We'll talk to you next time. You have a good night.